Hey, what's going on guys, and welcome back to another episode of Career Mode. This is episode number 91, and we start today's episode off with a couple of players coming to us in our manager's office, if you will. Leroy first says he wants to get Ikrem's spot, which is surprising because Ikrem sat on the bench for the whole of last season, so if Phil wants to sit on the bench, he can have the bench. But Wijnaldum also said that he was relieved about the media speculation. Again, I've had a couple of those during this series where players have said, you know, thanks for keeping me in the squad and whatnot. Which is kind of weird because they've never had any media articles about them, so it's kind of weird how that happens. But I don't know, that's kind of bizarre. But even so, it's good. They're both pieces of good news. And we start today's episode off with a game against FC Copenhagen here at Carrow Road. Now, of course, this is a Champions League qualifier, two-leg tie. In the first leg in Scandinavia, we drew by 2-2. So coming into this game, we had the advantage, which is why I rested the entire side. I mean, don't get me wrong, going out in the qualifiers would be embarrassing and just completely unacceptable, but to be honest, I still felt we'd have the better of Copenhagen with a backup side, and we did indeed take the lead just 21 minutes in. Anthony gets the goal after Lee Marshall played him through. Those two could be a really good backup strike partnership for us this year, two very good young strikers. And in the 25th minute here, Stephen Corker controls the ball, plays it out wide to Olsen, our left back. He skips past his man and gives it to Ravel Morrison. Lovely little back heel, and another lovely little back heel by Lee Marshall. Some good one-touch passing. Third end releases Callum Chambers down the right hand side here. So many players were involved in this move. Chambers with the ball roll stops, gets past the slide tackle. That was really nice from Chambers. Crosses the ball in. There's Anthony to get his second goal of the game, and that was a really nice team move. I think about 9 or possibly 10 players were involved in that move, so that was a really good team goal, and it's Anthony who gets it, and that makes it 2-0 to us. So Copenhagen, their travelling fans were going to be very disappointed because it looked as though they were going to be going out of the Champions League in the qualifying stage, and he see Lee Marshall play through Anthony for his hat-trick, but sadly the goalkeeper makes a great save, so it is still 2-0. Anthony couldn't just get his hat-trick there, but it was a lovely ball by Lee Marshall, and as I said, those two could be a great backup strike partnership for us this year. But in the 74th minute here, Copenhagen give the ball away eventually as they try and pass it out from the back. Leroy Third makes the interception, brilliant block by our captain, and then he half volleys the ball in to the bottom corner. So making a statement there, Leroy Third, as you guys would have seen, he's actually now a bench player. He was our captain for the first 3 years, and as I've said, I absolutely love Leroy Third. No plans to sell him whatsoever, but making a statement there to show that he's still good enough to play in the first team. That was a really good finish after an interception, and Vetukale did get a goal back for Copenhagen there. It was my mistake. I tried to dribble out the back with Sean Morrison. I failed, and it was a simple finish. So 3-1 the final score. We go through. That's all that matters. You know, getting through is the only thing that matters, and we did get through. Anthony with 2 goals, captain Leroy Third with 1, and 3-1 on the night, and 5-3 on aggregate. So we are through to the Champions League group stages for the second successive season, and I'm very happy about that. And straight after the game, we still do have a few million, of course, to spend. And I was looking at Tom Ince as well, because he's a decent player, Tom Ince. You know, I mean, as I've said, I really rate Tom Ince. I think he's one of the best players outside of the Premiership in terms of lower league football. And I really rate Tom Ince. He should be playing in the Premier League, in my opinion. But we test the water a little bit. We give him a £2 million bid because he's only got 11 months on his contract. So even though you can see Blackpool constantly rejecting these deals, it's not too big of an issue, because even though I really do want Tom Ince as a bit of a reserve winger, it's not too much of an issue, because even if we can't pick him up this summer transfer window, because he's over the age of 23, it means that we can pick him up on a free agent for the next season in January, as you see me do during this series with a few players. Ikrem, Wijnaldum, who's still a first-team player, McCarthy. We've picked up players on the free agents, and then we've used them the following season. Obviously, Perotti is an example of how sometimes it doesn't work, but we can still pick up players on free agents. And Tom Ince, so we're not going to be going in for Tom Ince. Blackpool are asking too much. I'd like to get him in at the start of the season, so we've got him for the first 6 months, but it's not too big of a deal, because even if we can't get him in, we can just try and get him in January. Of course, the risk is that, you know, someone else will sign him, but I still believe that even if we won't be able to pick him up in the summer, which we won't be able to, we could possibly get him on in January on a free transfer, and that would be a great deal for us. It really would. So we're probably going to look to do that in January, and that will be good. So I mean, that's that basically. I was looking at Jesus Corona as well, or Jesus Corona, how you pronounce it. The Mexican winger, I do believe he is, Mexican winger for FC Twente. I think he's still at 20 in the game. He's a 5-star skiller, and that's one thing we haven't had all through the series, you know, a 5-star skiller, so I'd love one of those, but I don't really know, to be honest, because if there's an option to get Tom Ince on a free, I'd rather take that. But even so, he took on Chelsea for the second game of the episode here, and Chelsea, of course, Benteke up against his former club. He was desperate to make sure that we'd end up with a win in this game, but it was all Chelsea in the first half, and in the 36th minute a great chance for Kevin De Bruyne. What a superb save by Fraser Forster to deny him with his feet there, and it was still 0-0, and on the stroke of half time Lewandowski goes down the right hand side here. Good dribbling by the Polish striker, crosses the ball in, and Ramirez with an audacious bicycle kick. Really good save by Forster. We managed to clear the ball, and that is how the half ends. So really, in the first half here at Carrow Road, it was all Chelsea. It was still 0-0. We were lucky to go in without conceding, but it was all Chelsea. We only had like 1 or 2 shots, and it was all Chelsea really. But in the second half here, it was still going to be all Chelsea, and in the 48th minute here, you see Kirikes play the ball to Forster, and oh dear, what on earth was I trying to do there? I just gave the ball away with Forster. That was a simple finish for Willian in the end. I always try and play out from the back. I never like clearing the ball with a simple circle or smashing it with square. I like to try and play out from the back, and sometimes you just can't do that. Sometimes you need to hoof it, and sadly, I just don't like doing that, and I gave the ball away at Forster. It was 1-0, but how about this from Benteke? He just pushes Ryan Bertrand to the floor. Benteke gets his first goal in a Norwich shirt, and it comes against his former club Chelsea. That's exactly why I signed Benteke. The strength there was absolutely incredible. Just outmuscled Bertrand, threw him to the floor, and finished it really well. So 1-1 here. He then had a good chance to make it 2-1, but his header just went wide of the post. Here you see De Bruyne taking aim from range. Good save by Fraser Forster, trying to make up for that mistake. My mistake, of course, and it's still 1-1. And in the 85th minute here, Bertrand gets on the ball here, goes down the centre, gives it off to Kevin De Bruyne, who takes aim from range again, but again, it's a really decent save by Fraser Forster. So it is still 1-1, and in injury time here, Willian's on the ball, the goal scorer for Chelsea, plays it back to Ryan Bertrand. Bertrand finds De Bruyne, who was at the heart for everything for Chelsea, but Fraser Forster was making some incredible saves, and that was another one there. So the game did finish 1-1. It's another draw in the league. That's now 2 draws in the league and 1 win. So not the most amazing start, obviously, but even so, against Chelsea, it's always going to be difficult. You know, they were the side that, you know, finished 5th last year. We beat them to 4th place on the final day, you know, of a win away at Arsenal. So obviously taking on Chelsea is never going to be easy. They deserve to win that game, but thankfully the brilliance of Fraser Forster. This is why I'm glad I didn't sign a new goalkeeper, because Forster's fantastic. The brilliance of Fraser Forster made sure we did get a point, and I was very happy that Benteke got his first goal for Norwich as well. But the following game, the third and final game, is against Derby County in the Capital One Cup here. Now, of course, we won the Capital One Cup twice during this series. However, in the last season, we got knocked out in one of the first rounds by City. So, taking on Derby, I was determined to do a bit better than last year, of course, when we did lose to Man City. But Derby have some decent players as well. Of course, Will Hughes is one of those that I was thinking about signing during this summer transfer window, but it doesn't look like I'm going to be doing that anymore. But in the 30th minute, we had the first chance of the game. A great interception by Chalobah, and Jennings lets fly from range, but it's a good save by the goalkeeper. So still 0-0. But from the corner, Ravel Morrison crosses the ball in, who, interestingly, is a right footer on my career. I thought he was a left-footed player. I mean, I might be completely wrong, but I thought Ravel Morrison was a left-footed player, and that was odd to see him take the corner with the right foot. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe he is a right-footed player, but I always thought Ravel Morrison was a left-footed player. But there you go. Even so, Derby were trying to hit back as well. They didn't come here just looking to play for extra time and tire us out and then win it on penalties. They were trying to get the win in normal time, and they were playing really well. Here you see Bryson shot well, saved by McCarthy, and then the follow-up shot by Johnny Russell was brilliantly saved by McCarthy. So McCarthy trying to outmuscle Fraser Forster for that number 1 jersey there. So still 0-0, but in the 74th minute here, a great chip over the top came to Dale Jennings. Jennings ran through 1-on-1. And I love Dale Jennings so much. You always know Dale Jennings is going to deliver something special when he gets the chance, and that was a lovely chip over the goalkeeper into the back of the net. And Jennings, with 16 minutes to go, gives us the opening goal of the game. So 1-0 here. Jennings gets it. Here you see Sean Morrison make a great challenge. Chalobah gives it to Jennings. He crosses the ball inside to Lee Marshall on the half volley, just over by our youth academy prospect. And the game finishes 1-0. So we got the win. That's the most important thing. We got the win by a goal to nil. And yeah, I was pleased. It wasn't the most convincing of results, you know. I mean, you know, the game against Chelsea was unconvincing. We didn't deserve to get a point. We just got a point. This game, you know, probably should have gone to extra time, but we did did get the win, so we will need to pick up the pace and start to improve as the season goes on. But we're getting through the competitions, and that's all that matters really. But the last thing you'll see in today's episode, guys, is us go in for Kadeem Harris, who is a young winger for Cardiff, who's actually done quite well during the series, scored against us a couple of times. So maybe we can add Kadeem Harris to our list of players. And as always, guys, a big thank you for watching today's video. I really hope you have enjoyed it. If you have, please leave a like, that's much appreciated, and it really does help my channel out, and it only takes a second to leave a like. And I'll see you for the next episode of Career Mode tomorrow.